All right. So I'm trying some new things. NFL films, music in the background. Testing this out. I don't know. Tell me if you like it. But we're going to move on. And I think after going over the Niners season and the disastrous Sunday that occurred this last week, time to get into some actual stories. I actually got some breaking news that came in just now. Defensive back Eric Reid has signed with the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers have some injuries. Denoris Searcy went down. He's on IR right now. And they have some issues. But Eric Reid being signed, that's good news. It's good news for the league because right now you're having issues with the collusion case and why players aren't signed. And it's a very interesting scenario. I'm actually going to turn this off now. And, it's very interesting because we have these situations where players don't get signed because of certain things, and Eric Reid was one of those players that didn't get signed because of the anthem. And, again, everyone wants to bash my team, Cincinnati, for not signing him. They were about to, but they have a policy. You stand for the anthem. And that's been that way. No Bengals player has ever knelt for the anthem. Nobody. Name one. They've supported the cause, but they haven't knelt. So, don't come at me with that. Because since the Bengals didn't, but they signed all these other players. Yeah, but the policy. They have a policy in place. And as much as I'm not for the policy, I understand where they came from and why they didn't sign him. They were about to, but I understand why. Let's get on to the next story coming up here. So I feel good for Eric Reid getting that contract now. It's a 1-year deal, by the way. But Le'Veon Bell, where will he be traded? A lot of people think he'll go to a contending team, but the problem I have with that is a lot of people want to get rid of they have a 1,000-yard rusher. They just drafted a guy. They have an elite player. And my response to that is, I understand the elite player. I understand the 1,000-yard rusher. I don't understand the argument for teams that have drafted within the first 3 rounds. I do a little bit. Not a whole lot. But again, I think the Niners are the best spot for him. Does that shock anybody? No. Why would that shock anyone? The Niners are the best spot for Le'Veon Bell, and that's obvious. It's glaringly obvious. You could say the Packers, understandably so. But can they pay him? Philadelphia Eagles have Jay Ajayi. I've seen people say the Eagles should go out and trade for him. They have Ajayi. Why would they go trade for Le'Veon Bell? They don't need him. They don't need him. And then you go out and look at all these other things, and people saying that the Colts and the Jets and all these AFC teams should go after him. You got Stephen A. Smith on ESPN saying the Patriots and the Packers should be the 2 teams you should want to go to. No way in hell are the Steelers going to trade him to the Patriots. That's not going to happen. They may trade him to the Packers, but why would they do that? They have Super Bowl aspirations. They won't make it, as in the Steelers. They won't make it. They're not good enough to make it. But they think they're good enough to get there. The delusion of Pittsburgh. They think they're good enough to get there. Now, they're not as delusional as the Cowboys, but they're delusional. And they think, here's the deal. If you look at it realistically, the Steelers have to trade Le'Veon Bell if they want something back for him. He's not coming back next year regardless. And you can wait till week 10, but what's your record going to be? I predicted you were going to beat the Buccaneers. You didn't beat the Chiefs. And now you got Atlanta coming up. Let me just pull up their schedule right now because it's a brutal road. You're 1-1-1. You have Baltimore this week at home, Atlanta at home, the Bengals in Cincinnati. That's till your bye week. If you lose all 3 of those games and go 1-4-1, your season's over. Then you go home to play Pittsburgh after the bye week. Then you have to go to Baltimore. Then you have to play Carolina. Then you got to play Jacksonville and Jacksonville. And then you got to go to Mile High. The way your defense is playing, I think you'll beat Baltimore at home. I think you'll lose to Atlanta. I think you'll lose to Cincinnati. That puts you at 2-3-1. You'll beat the Browns and go 3-3-1. But then you're going to lose to Baltimore, you're going to lose to Carolina, and you're going to lose to Jacksonville. So by the time you get to Denver, you're 3-6-1. You're out of playoff contention at this point. Jacksonville owns you. I don't care what anyone has to say about Blake Bortles. He owns you. I mean, they own you. They own you. Then you got to play. Here's the thing. When you play the Chargers, they get Joey Bosa back. That's not beneficial. John Gruden in Oakland later in the year. Who knows how that's going to go? And the end of your season consists of 3 teams that I think will end up in the playoffs. The Patriots, the Saints, and the Bengals. We can talk about your season being over around week 10. If Le'Veon Bell's not back, you're not winning those games. That's the fact. You're not winning those games. Now let's get to the next part here. Earl Thomas. Absolutely embarrassed. Embarrassed the Cowboys this week. Now, how much of it was Earl Thomas? I think the real question is, how much of it wasn't Dak Prescott? Because we all know how bad Dak Prescott is. If you watch the show, I've religiously said Dak Prescott's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. And he keeps proving it week in and week out. I don't want to hear people like Skip Bayless come out here and say, he's Tom Brady-esque. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Since when? He had one good year. You know who else had one good year? Colin Kaepernick. Other than that, he was straight garbage. And that's what we're seeing out of Dak Prescott. Straight garbage. And you know what? I couldn't be happier. The fact of the matter is he threw 2 picks to Earl Thomas, both of which were magnificent catches. But Earl Thomas, who wanted to be a cowboy, and everyone's saying, oh, he should be a cowboy. He was wearing the wrong uniform yesterday. No, he wasn't. The fact of the matter is, when the Cowboys offered the 2nd-round pick, he already came back to Seahawks practice. So the Seahawks are like, oh, just kidding. We don't want your 2nd-round pick. Give us a 1st. You know, at this point, you look at the Cowboys, who are 1-2. They've lost both games on the road. They won 1 game at home. The Giants are the worst team in that division. There's no question about that. But the Redskins look decent. The Eagles, once they get their weapons back and once they get healthy, they will roll over your division. I don't want to hear any of these excuses from Cowboys fans saying that they should have had Earl Thomas. Yeah, if you offered a 1st-rounder from the beginning, you'd have Earl Thomas. But you didn't. He's still a Seahawk. And you didn't go out and draft a guy. You went out and got a linebacker in the 1st round, who has been described as your insurance policy. I don't want to hear the excuses, Cowboys fans. I don't. Just accept the fact your team is garbage and move on with your life. Next thing that we're going to talk about is the Patriot Way fading. This is a hard one for me because I think if you look at the Patriots and the way they are now an offensive team. They're no longer a defensive team. This is the second year now where they're an offensive team. They haven't been the same since the 2016 Super Bowl. They haven't been the same. And I don't think I've ever gone over this debate, the Brady-Belichick debate. I've never gone over it. But Belichick is the reason this team is the way they are. It's not Tom Brady. And I'll tell you why. Give me one Super Bowl that Tom Brady won by himself. Super Bowl 51. He came back 25-3, or he came back 25 points. That wasn't on Tom Brady. Tom Brady was just good enough to get them there. The defense is the reason they won that Super Bowl. Challenge me on that fact. The defense is the reason they won that Super Bowl. Without the Dante Hightower strip sack, the Falcons are Super Bowl champions. Straight up. If they don't cause a holding call when they're trying to throw the ball, the Falcons are Super Bowl champions. So I don't want to sit here and I don't want you to come over here and talk to me and be like, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, when in all actuality, he's not. If he were to have won Super Bowl 52, maybe we can have that discussion. But the fact of the matter is, he was the one who fumbled to allow the Eagles to win their first ever championship. The Giants games, the two Super Bowls against the Giants, you can sit there and blame Bill Belichick all you want. The fact of the matter is, Bill Belichick's defense did its job. Tom Brady did not do his. The intentional grounding for a safety in the second one. The fact that he didn't score 20 points in both. Get out of here with your Brady arguments. This guy, again, people have been wrong about the cliff. I mean, the cliff, how he's going to fall off a cliff. People are wrong about that, first of all. Because I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, he hasn't fallen off yet. But the last two games against both Jacksonville and Detroit have been disasters for Tom Brady. They can't wait to have Edelman back. This defense has not been the same. In fact, for the first time since Thanksgiving of 2013, that was 5 years ago, the Lions had a 100-yard rusher. It just happened to be the rookie they drafted, Kerryon Johnson. So you want to sit here and say the Patriot Way is not fading? It's fading. Fast. Because it's not working anymore. It's old, it's dated. And the Malcolm Butler benching was the tip of the iceberg. They're not the same. And the AFC's weak, I get it. That's why everyone picked the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl, including myself. But no one except for me, I'll take credit for it, anticipated the Steelers were going to be this bad. And anticipated some of these other teams were going to be good. No one thought the Dolphins were going to be 3-0. Not even me. I think we're all surprised at how the Patriots have started this season, this year. All right. We are going to move on to the next segment, in the next part, anyway. We're going to talk about the best of Week 3. Some of it will be surprising to you. Some of it will not be surprising to you. That's coming up.